What's going on, guys? Got kind of an interesting video here, different setup for a number of reasons. I'll get into that, but I got a chance to review the new Arete 3-in-1 hack squat leg press machine with calf block from GMWD. If it sounds like you've seen a few different models of this, you probably have. I thought this has already been covered many times, but this is actually their new version. This is their DD08 model, not to be confused with their DD06 model or their DD07 model, the Liger. I kind of discovered this myself, and you're going to see me jump on this at my friend's house. This was sent to me free for review, not a promotional video. GMWD might not like the way I'm kind of doing this because I'm going to compare it to a few things. I'm going to be brutally honest about this. There are a lot of good things. There are some negative things. Most of it is positive, so I'll just say that. If you guys do want to support me in the channel, I don't know if they'll give it to me, but they're supposed to give me some sort of discount code. I will link it down below in the description box if you guys are curious. Pretty affordable 3-in-1 hack squat, I'll definitely say that. I will be comparing this a little bit to the Force USA 45 degree 3-in-1 hack squat that I currently have. This one is obviously a lot more expensive, but since I have this one and I've tried this one and there are some things I can directly compare it to as far as quality is concerned and where it counts, I'm going to be referencing this a little bit in this video, I'm sure, much to GMWD's chagrin. So I apologize for that. I'm going to respect the company, again, focus on this, the positives, but I want to make it as honest and clear for you guys to make the best informed decision. So before I actually jump to me using the machines, you guys can jump to the timestamps if you guys want to. I do want to set the stage and highlight some important features that this thing kind of has going for it, at least the upgrades. So like I said, they have on Amazon a DD06, which I think has been reviewed by a few people. Looks somewhat the same, very compact. The DD07 looks very similar. And then when you jump to theirs, the bragging rights behind this one are really right down here. So they're saying the version from the DD06, and there was an 07, they're kind of, I don't know if they're just pretending it didn't exist, but the DD06 to DD08, which this is that they've taken the level by upgrading, they take it to the next level, innovation, by going from 2 to 5 weight-bearing posts. And they said this provides superior stability, increased load capacity. It does have a very impressive load capacity. I'll show you guys that in a second. I think it's one of the heaviest I've seen, especially in a compact home gym 3-in-1 leg press like you guys are seeing here. Making it the first 5-post leg press machine on the market. What they're kind of talking about is all the different loading points. You have 1, 2 on that side, 2 back here, and then you have a back end, if you can kind of see it here, that kind of sticks out, that allows you to add more weight. You can see his load capacity pretty much off the charts. If I compare it to the Force USA one that I have that is a little more expensive, that one is around, it says weight bearing, the weight rating is 1,000 pounds. I'm not sure if that's the actual weight, but this thing is definitely more heavy duty, the Force USA one compared to this. I will get to that, but you will see a video down here that if they just said these things to me, I don't know if I'd really justify it. I would encourage you guys to actually check out this video for just entertainment purposes, or just very interesting to see what this machine kind of went through and what they did with their, I guess, their GMWD lab and how they stress test this thing. It's pretty crazy, and they put it over like a 24-hour clock to kind of see how it can handle extreme loads if someone just left the weight on the machine for a long period of time. Pretty surprising, to say the least, and judging from this video, this thing should last you a lifetime based on what they put this thing through, so that's pretty crazy. Check that video out for yourselves. And then just comparing things that I noticed that they improved from the previous models, they did keep the kind of these little handles and the wheels, it's beefed up a little bit. You also notice this is kind of a single post, so if you compare it to this new Arete model, they have a kind of a longer handle down here, they still have wheels, and then a bunch of other storage options. And then the frame itself, you can see, is kind of this square, more solid type of kind of frame from the side, versus the other models had this kind of a frame where it just had a center post coming down the center. So less storage options and less options to kind of load the back of the machine. There is a spot for band pegs and just band attachments. I just forgot to bring my bands over to my friend's house when I made the recording, but I'm sure it works totally fine. But that is a nice kind of handy feature, and where it kind of loops underneath the carriage of the unit. Now I just want to jump to my reactions on the machine, then I'll kind of follow up after that. First thing I will say is that this thing is a lot more compact to the version I had, the Force USA one, and I'll make a couple of comparisons because that's what I'm going off of. Definitely it's a shorter height here. Definitely much more easier to assemble, and I'll probably talk about that in more detail off the recording. What's really good is it has this wheel feature, so I'm not going to do it, although I might be able to since the weight is stacked in the back. You can pick this up. I'm not going to say it's easy, but fairly easy to move it around. And the first thing I'm going to do is, it is set up right now for a hack squat, so we're going to try that one first, and we'll just kind of see how that feels. This thing right here, This seat cushion comes off, so I gave you guys, you already should see an up close shot of that. I'll show that to you. And I'm going to lower this stopper, because some of the big things, some of you guys have already been asking this question, is when you get in this hack squat position, can you get full depth? And that's always an issue for some people, is they feel like a lot of these machines kind of bottom you out. I'll actually leave it right here, but you can take this off to get more depth, but let's just see how this feels. So this is about, I would say my thighs are just about hitting my calves. You can hear that noise. Sounds a little aggressive. We'll probably check to make sure not rubbing or anything, but you can hear the noise this thing is making. But I would say depth is pretty good. I might try and take the bottom out a little more to see if I can get lower. But otherwise, being 6 foot, you can definitely get low enough here. And I think this stand setting is actually good for me. Might not like this. So I just loosened up this bolt a little bit to kind of pull this thing out. You see there's some little grooves there. I'm going to try to tuck my legs back a little bit. Important thing here is as long as your back is neutral, heels feel flat. Comfortable enough. Depth is definitely there. I wouldn't say it's on the super smooth side. The Force USA one definitely feels a little smoother. But as far as functionality is there, the most important thing, most of you guys are concerned about, is just getting full depth. I think that's totally covered. I'll show you guys how to throw in the calf raise. And I got no weight on here. Eventually I will throw on some weight. But let's just see how the calf raise feels. Again, you can totally adjust this back here. I like the way this block is designed. The only thing I don't like is I can't get a real big dorsiflexion or good range of motion at the bottom. So I kind of, on the Force USA one and some of these other models, you can adjust it higher. I mean, it's definitely good. You're going to work your calves, no question. But some of those that you can raise higher, you can get a little bit lower. So you're kind of limited with one standard block. I'm going to adjust this here in a second to see how that makes any difference with the range of motion. But what is cool, I actually have no idea. Probably, I guess you could. I don't think it would hurt the metal, but this actually feels great, by the way. If you ever want like a regular calf block, I'm going to put it a little bit. So that's something to kind of see, is that not a whole lot of play here. I think it's fine for what it is. I think the Force USA one has more increments. I was used to that, but it's like you got 3, 4 maybe different holes. I'm going to see how intuitive this is without knowing anything about how this thing's work. I did see one brief video, so, but I obviously don't know what to do. Let's see. Okay, so there it's clicked in. All right, so this is maybe a minor con for some people, that you can see it only clicks into one spot, whereas some machines, again, the Force USA one referencing that, you have a bunch of different ways to kind of maneuver and manipulate this. But the biggest, most obvious thing is that if you want to adjust that, you can always just raise the backrest to get yourself into position. The foot plate looks maybe on the smaller side. It's certainly not super small, but we're going to see how it feels here in a second. I do like how it has these little ridges, these metal ridges. Force USA one does not have that. And what I do need is a seat, so we'll put the seat back on. Okay. This works. I'm probably going to adjust this a little bit. Some of this is personal preference. Of course, there are some things with leg press you don't want to have your back rounding, and this to me feels probably the most natural. I like this. I will say the foot pad is a little bit on the narrow side. That's always a sacrifice you have with these compact 3-in-1 leg press hack squat deals. So this, if I was just to kind of pause it, if I had a normal leg press, I might be something like here. So I'm forced to kind of go a little bit here, and I would honestly probably tilt this back a little bit. With all that being said, it doesn't feel uncomfortable. So you can get really low. Notice I didn't put the stopper in. So this is any worst case scenario. This thing bottomed out. It's gonna be I'm not gonna get crushed, so that is there as a safety measure. But just note that you can actually get pretty low. This is low enough for me that I think I probably wouldn't even put this in, because I think if I put the stopper in, it's gonna probably stop me like right here, which is probably fine. I just don't think I really need it. This is nice, and a big thing that this is an upgrade right here, the seat rest. So the Force USA one, it's a lot stubbier. This one's a lot longer, so I actually can rest my head in this. So that actually is a good quality of life feature. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and throw some weight on. I'm just trying to nitpick every little thing. I would have probably referenced already on their website how much this thing is stress tested, which is very impressive on their website. So I trust this isn't a big deal, but if I didn't watch that video and I was doing this type of thing, I mean, you're never really gonna be hanging off the leg press, but this is just something that the fact that it's supported with one little pin, I'm no engineer, I'm sure it's fine, but it's something that maybe on the quality control thing, if someone's just for the casual commercial user, or sorry, residential user, you might be thinking this thing feels maybe cheap, but again, it's relatively inexpensive for a leg press. So notice I want to put my feet right here, which is totally fine. As long as I feel like my midfoot and heels are on this thing, I think it's fine. Biggest thing I'll keep saying is that I really wish you could adjust this, and I want to double check if there's not some other, there isn't, so it's just 2 notches here and here. It'd be great if they had one little notch to kind of go back. I think that would be a big quality of life feature for me. But otherwise, I could totally live with this. Okay, so we're gonna try. We just add obviously 4 plates on each side. We'll see what this feels like. Very heavy. Much heavier feeling than my Force USA. It just has a much more raw weight feel to it. Feels good. Actually, you know what? Let's see what the calf raises feel like. See that? Wait, what was that about? You can really see how much the springs kind of take that weight. Just something I never noticed on the other one. And maybe I'm gonna go back and compare it to the Force USA one. That might just be a level of like spring quality. I have no idea, but that give I never noticed before. Pros and cons. So again, the pros, this thing is very tall. I like that. It is, feels cheap. Am I thinking this thing is gonna rip anytime soon? I don't think so, but again, it's not commercial grade quality. I'd say this is one of the things where, as much as this thing is stress tested, the thing that I would predict over time is gonna wear the fastest is gonna be these pads and these types of seat cushionings. I don't know for sure, but that'd be the thing I would just say to kind of baby and try not to rip up too much, but I know people can reupholster stuff, so that's not a giant deal. That feels heavy. I've done this weight before with the Force USA, and it doesn't feel as heavy as this. All right, jumping back in, I'm going to talk about the pros and cons of the Arete here in a second, but I think it's worth noting comparing it to another leg press machine, a 3-in-1 leg press machine, hack squat thing, whatever. I'm sure they're not going to appreciate this, but I did this review of the Force USA, and the only reason I'm doing this is because there are some good pros and cons that I think the GMWD does have going for it, but this thing is obviously more expensive. And the reason I want to highlight this is because these things might matter to you when you're considering this decision. So Force USA definitely feels, it's not commercial grade quality, but it feels a little bigger. You can see here, if I pause the video, I'm pretty much just a bit taller than this machine, but compared to the GMWD, it feels a little smaller, a little more compact. This metal and everything felt a lot more sturdier. You get a little more options here with the adjustable plate, and I'd say adjustable calf raise, and the leg press pad was a little bit wider. Also, the springs, I could tell, were definitely upgraded. I went back to look at that. The springs were actually bigger compared to this in the GMWD. You saw those things kind of smush in a little bit. With all that being said, what the Arete really had going for it compared to a more expensive 3-in-1 leg press is that even though that thing was more expensive, this thing can handle more weight. Definitely seems like it was stress tested. Feels a little bit cheaper in some of the parts. It has wheels. It is much lighter. This thing was one of the easiest things I assembled. The Force USA was one of, if not probably the biggest nightmare of assembly I ever had to do with any piece of equipment. The manual was horrible. I told that to Force USA. GMWD though has been nailed out of the park though. I've reviewed a lot of their products. I purchased their products too for review. Their assembly and their organization of manuals and just using simple bolts is probably the best I think that I've tried so far, especially for like a budget priced home gym item. Other things this has going for it, it has extra weight horn storage, just like the Force USA you were paying for. Has the longer pad here I noted too, which actually feels a little more comfortable. The biggest detriment overall summary, the biggest cons that this thing had going for it was really, I'd say, the foot plate. The foot plate being that you can't adjust the plate up here, and that it did seem a little tight. Now for me, you guys saw that image, I had to get the most comfortable position, my feet were a little bit higher up. That could be a game breaker for you. It really depends what you want to use it for. For hack squats, I think it was totally fine. It felt comfortable. You can get full depth. I think for most people will be no problem. That might be definitely a sacrifice that you don't mind too much with the price. The fact that this thing is easy to move around. It is not a nightmare to assemble. And the fact that you'll probably never use this weight, but this is probably at this point in time so many options you can put weight on, but also the most amount of weight I think you can load on any leg press. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but that was, I thought, all pretty impressive. That's really it though. I think this thing is a great machine. My friend was more than happy when he got a chance to try this out. He has kind of bad knees according to him. He's actually just starting out and getting into kind of working out. So when he first tried this out, I thought it felt very comfortable. Again, he's kind of brand new to fitness and everything like that, but he loved the way this felt on his legs, very comfortable. And again, for the price point, for the footprint, kind of hard to beat. I think it's probably got to be up there, if not probably maybe one of the best at this price point and all the different features. But if you're looking to spend a little bit more, a little more sturdier build, and you want another hack squat, I think the Force USA is probably the next best option according to what I'm seeing so far. Any questions, comments, feedback, let me know, and I'll see you on the next video.